Welcome to the Nikki Show, and thank you for joining us. This is a journey where we'll talk about success stories, where we'll motivate, and where we will uplift. It is International Women's Month, and in the month of March, we've decided to start off by celebrating exceptional women in our community who've made it in the world. I am joined by a cosmetic surgeon today. She is a name and a force to be reckoned with, celebrated throughout the country and also internationally. And happy to be joined by Dr. Thandiwe Munaiwa. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Nikki, for inviting me.
And so we'll be talking about Dr. Thandiwe Munaiwa's story, and of course, a remarkable and uplifting story that will definitely set you for success. Now, you have an interesting journey that you've embarked on. Let's talk about the beginning.
Okay. So now they call me Munaiwa, but to be honest, I'm a success story of Chitungwiza. I came from Chitungwiza, from the ghetto. I was born at Chitungwiza Hospital 37 years ago, yes. And I attended my primary education at Zizai Primary School, and I did my secondary education at Seke 1 High, and then proceeded to do my A-levels at Sengeza 1 High. So growing up for me was really tough because I came from one of the poorest families in the neighborhood. We stayed in 2 rooms, and our house was kind of like the bus stop for everyone who's coming from the rural areas. I called myself poor, but there are others who were poorer than us who would be coming from the rural areas, and our house was the bus stop. So at any particular time, we would have maybe like 13 people in the house. So
13?
Yeah.
In 2 rooms?
In 2 rooms.
Okay.
So we would just arrange ourselves, sleeping on the floor and having, just basic space to be able to study and, to just do your things was difficult.
Now, let me stop you there. So you've got your mother and father in the home?
I was brought up by a single mom.
Was she working?
She was working in South Africa, like a cross-border trader. She used to sell what they call chairbags. I don't know if you remember them. Those that are put on the sofas and stuff. I think at that time it was something popular in South Africa, so that's what she was doing. So would stay behind with my grandmother. So she's the one who was there all the time. But my mom was always away.
Do you have any siblings?
Yes, I have one. My sister Alice.
Okay.
Yes. So it was just difficult having basic things in the house, having food. So you can imagine having school fees. I remember so many times that I was sent away from school because I haven't paid fees. And I remember vividly this particular point when I was in Form 1. When I started Form 1, I didn't have uniforms for Seke 1 High. So I spent close to a month wearing uniform from Sengeza 1 High. So you can imagine how I was feeling, surrounded by teenagers who have lots of hormones going through them. I was a laughing stock at that particular
Someone
time.
says that school kids are very mean.
They are very mean. They are very mean.
Do you remember the worst thing that was said about you?
I think my mind has blocked some of the things, to be honest. I don't remember. But the school shoe, I used to wear brown school shoe at Zizai. And then when I went to Seke 1, it was black. So I had to put a lot of black polish at that particular time to change the school shoe to the required color. So I almost didn't go to university because of lack of finances. And
what was happening at that time?
We didn't have money to send me to university. And I don't know how much they are now charging these days for just 1 semester, but for us it was a lot of money, obviously. And somehow my father came back at that particular point and he paid my fees for the first semester. I thank God for him.
So you enrolled at a local university?
Yes, at the University of Zimbabwe.
And you were studying?
Medicine, the Bachelor of Medicine and Bachelor of Surgery degrees.
Interesting.
Yes.
How many points did you have at A-level?
I had 14.
14 points?
Yes.
Let's talk about your study schedule. This is very interesting because when you talk about the circumstances that you're talking about, and how you say we had 2 rooms, and life was very difficult for us. How were you studying? What was your motivation? Where did you see yourself in possibly the future at that time?
Studying was difficult. Just imagine having 13 people in the house, and then you just need a small space to be able to study. So what I would do is, when I was in A-level, would finish school maybe around 4. Then I get home and eat and sleep. Then I'd wait for everyone to sleep. Then I wake up when everyone is asleep and start studying. So I would study for the greater part of the night and then sleep for a few hours and then wake up and prepare to go.
Were there electricity problems at that time?
I remember there was a particular point where we didn't pay the electricity bill and they switched off electricity for close to 2 years. So during those times, I was using candles to read, it was a tough time. It was a tough time.
I want to take you back to meal time. The one meal that you'll never forget.
I don't miss out.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
I kind of saw that
back there. Yeah, it was something. But yeah, chilipanapanas.
Chilipanapanas.
Yeah.
And this is what we're talking about. Amazing stories that are uplifting and that will motivate you. So, A-level.
Yes,
A-levels. And then 14 points. No
14
scholarship?
Points. So my dad paid for the first semester, and by the grace of God, Econet advertised a scholarship in the newspaper. It was the first of its kind. They were sponsoring undergraduate students. It was the Joshua Nkomo Scholarship Fund. So I just applied, and I didn't even expect to get it. And then I got the scholarship. So Econet is the one that sent me to school, paid for my undergraduate education. So they pay school fees, they would pay accommodation at the university, and also give a stipend to be able to, to buy a few things.
People talk about pressure in university. There's always pressure, standards, peer pressure, more specifically, where others come from backgrounds of means. Were you ever under pressure?
Not really. I knew where I was coming from. So I kept telling myself that I'm supposed to run away from poverty. So that's what pushed me. I knew the only way out for me was not to take any shortcuts, but to actually work hard until I achieved what I wanted to. So I didn't succumb to university pressure. I made sure that I have to get the degree. This is the only way out for my family. I'm the first one to have gone to A-level from my clan. The first one
from your clan?
Oh, yeah. The first one to go to university. So I had to break the barrier. I had to do it. I had to take people from poverty to somewhere. So that's what kept me going. A lot of things happen at universities, but I didn't succumb to the pressure.
So your mother is part of this journey?
Yes, she's the integral part. Yes.
And I guess that a lot of motivation came from your mother. You've described the struggles, the family struggles, and being raised in a household where you had a single mother.
Yes.
What was the most heartbreaking incident for you, or the extent to which your mother went to make sure that she took care of her children?
So she would spend so many months in South Africa. I'm sure if it was me, it was going to be heartbreaking because I would want to spend time with my kids. But she couldn't because she had to work to provide for us. So I think that for her must have been very heartbreaking. In the end, you end up forming bonds with, your grandma more than your mom because she wasn't there. Yeah.
So fast forward, University of Zimbabwe. You graduate?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
In medicine?
Yes.
And then there's a path that you had to take.
Yes.
Life was changing, obviously. Take us through that journey.
Okay. So I graduated in 2012. I was the class of 2012. Then I started working as a junior doctor at Paraniatu Hospital. And when I finished, I joined the casualty department. And then I started actively looking for locums. Locums are like, extra work that you do to get money. Because in my mind, the first thing I needed to do was to build a house for my mom, a family house where people would have somewhere to stay. So I started working at the casualty. I also worked for CIMAS. I was working for CIMAS, for Avenues, for Trauma Center, and at Paraniatwa at the same time. So I would I had night duties at the casualty. And then in the morning, I would go to CIMAS and finish maybe around 3. And then from there, I would go to the Avenues. I did the 3 to 11 shift. So I would alternate between Avenues and Trauma Center. So I started making some money, which was meaningful at the time. And I managed to buy a stand in a different part of Shitugiza called Unity G. And then I built a house for my mom, a 4-bedroom house. So that's what I had to do.
Describe that moment when you walked into the house in a completed home with your mother.
I think it was one of the best days of her life because she never imagined herself owning a house and, having water. I remember vividly when I was young, we didn't have a borehole. And those who had boreholes in the neighborhood, they would be like kings, Sometimes you go and ask for water, and then they would ask you to, to give them 4 buckets of water first before you you carry your own water. So it was too much. I knew what having a borehole meant for her. So I had to make sure that this house had to have electricity. It had to have water. Something so basic, but very life-changing.
So now you're one of the most celebrated cosmetic surgeons in the country. And, I was looking at your profile. There is mention of reconstructive surgery.
Yes.
There's a lot of investment, obviously, in your education. What made you, or what brought about the decision to then take on cosmetic surgery?
Okay. So I'm a plastic surgeon. So plastics is aesthetic surgery and reconstructive surgery combined. So I liked beautifying things, if I can say. I liked the combining skill with art, and also the emotions that are involved in taking care of patients who need to have their bodies transformed. So that's what drew me closer to plastic surgery. And because it's a service that wasn't being offered locally, it's something that, it was being offered, but the aesthetic side was being done at a low scale. I wanted for patients to have like a one-stop shop where they do these things and not have to go away to maybe South Africa or Turkey to get things done.
Do you feel that you're in a male-dominated environment?
Yeah. Yes.
I know that you've got 2 male companions.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yes, I work with Dr. Owen Muzida and Dr. Bright Shoko.
Okay.
Yes. So traditionally, being a doctor has always been male, and the nurses are the ones who are female. So just the skepticism around, and the bias towards males as doctors, it's something that I've had to struggle with during my training. So you'd find patients would trust a male doctor more than a female. I remember we did this one day when I was doing a ward round, and I gave a patient her results, and I explained everything, the diagnosis and everything we were going to do. And then when I was about to leave, she asked me, "What time is the doctor coming?"
Oh my. What would you attribute such reactions or to?
I think it's the way we were brought, just society. I think we are moving away from, having clear male, female roles. Things have changed from the time I started up to now. But I think that traditionally in society, men were, the doctors, the lawyers, and then females, they would stay home. They would be the housewives. So things have changed.
So in affluent circles, Dr. Tha, as she is known now, is a very topical and very popular woman. And in affluent circles where women want to change how they look, where I believe some men have also reached out and want to possibly change and make modifications. And excuse me for using that word, Dr. Tha is the person that people are looking for. In your consultations, what are some of the most what are some of the most memorable consultations you've had, and also what is your perception of just self-esteem and cosmetic or plastic surgery?
Okay. I think maybe let me start by one of the most memorable consultations. This particular patient, she came in with huge breasts, and she was having backaches, headaches, infections under the breasts, and then clothes were no longer fitting at all.
Did she have any challenges in the society, in the community, regarding her look?
Yes, there was now stigma. She was stigmatized, marginalized, and she didn't have money for the procedure. But I spoke to the guys, and then we just decided to do her pro bono. She's one of the most grateful patients I've ever seen. Her life was transformed just by one surgery. So she's whenever I think about aesthetic surgery and reconstructive surgery, mostly aesthetics, she's the person I always think about. Her life was changed by just one procedure. She now started feeling confident, looking confident. She even said, if you want if you want me to advertise for you, I can do it. And I'm like, no, no, you don't have to do that. But generally,
I can imagine that billboard. Just allow me to say.
Generally, women lose self-esteem, as we age. This is coupled by the increase in the number of pregnancies that you've carried, and just by gaining weight in general. So it leads to low self-esteem, lack of confidence, and then just some will just be going through different things in life. Some are going through a divorce or other things, and they think probably if I get a cosmetic surgery done, then my partner is going to accept me back. Yeah, we've seen many different people with many different presentations, but the general thing that I've seen is lack of self-esteem and generally just wanting to look better than they are looking at than they are looking at that particular time.
So we mentioned that men have also consulted with Dr. Tha. And I'm curious to know that when a man then calls and says, I'm coming for a consultation, what are the main challenges that men are facing?
So it's the Jojo tank, just like females. So
it's about time men got their tummies done.
So he said, I've been going to the gym for a long time. I've been doing these exercises, but this thing is not going away. Is there something that you're able to do, like abdominal etching, giving him a six-pack and things like that? So we ended up not doing the procedure because of his weight. He had to lose a bit of weight first to qualify for the surgical criteria.
Now, there has been interest regarding your life story. And I know that you were involved with an American filming crew.
Yes.
Yes. Tell us more about that.
Okay, so I'm part of a cohort called Pioneering Women in Reconstructive Surgery. So this was started by an organization called Research International through collaboration with a company called SkinCeuticals, which is like one of the biggest cosmetic companies selling skin products. So what they basically do is like they identify star women in different communities, mostly low income countries, that they take on to mentor both professionally and personally. So I was fortunate enough to be one of the women who were chosen.
Well done.
Yes, thank you. So they were interested by my story. So last year, no, in 2023, they sent their film team from America.
Okay.
To come and film. So we went to the place that I grew up at, my previous school. They interviewed everyone related to me. They came to my house. They followed me at work. They shadowed me in theater. So they were just trying to see, like, who am I? Where did I come from? And where am I going? So they then made a film from that, which has won so many awards. In Zimbabwe, it won Best Zimbabwean Film last year, 2024, at the National Art Gallery.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I was happy enough to receive the award.
And also abroad.
Yes, and also abroad.
Now that when you meet up with people from your past,
Mm.
people who know your story
Mm.
and have witnessed your glory, what do they say about you, and how does that also make you feel?
They're impressed. I think some may even reflect, like, they start thinking, well, maybe I could have done better. That's the feeling that I get. And they continue to cheer me on, on Facebook. If something is if something is posted, you'd see comments from people I grew up with. They are proud of me, like especially people from Chitungwiza that know me. They are happy that something good came out of the ghetto. Yeah, that's what I think.
There's a young lady, there's a woman who is watching right now, and the situation may seem hopeless. Wherever she is, the situation may seem hopeless.
Yeah.
It's a story that you can tell. What words of motivation would you have for them?
First of all, I would tell that young lady to work hard. No cutting corners. You need to work hard. Put in the work. Hakuna nowhere munagarara. You have to work hard for it. Some people are privileged enough to be born with a silver spoon in their mouth, but not everybody. And the only way you can get out of the situation you're in is to work hard. I put in all my effort, and I was recognized by different people who have helped me to get to this point that I am. Like, for example, when I was doing postgraduate training, I got another scholarship by an organization called Smile Train, which focuses on cleft lip and palate babies. So they paid for my postgraduate education. So I don't think I would have gotten that scholarship if I didn't work hard. So people will appreciate you more if they see the amount of work that you're putting in anything that you're doing. You can learn from everyone. You can learn from a cleaner to the highest person in the hierarchy. And you need to be assertive, to be confident, to know your self-worth, and to stay positive, and most of all, to stay on your course. I think that's what I would say.
Everybody's got a different path. That's the thing. Everybody's got a different path. And one of the things that we need to embrace is that we do not always have the same story, but we should always put effort. And I think that's one thing that's extremely extraordinary about you. You have got an amazing story. And today we celebrate the cosmetic surgeon who is making headlines, Dr. Tha. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you for that uplifting story.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for inviting me.
You're welcome. And so celebrating amazing women who've done exceptionally well. And do you know what? There's so many rags to riches stories. And what we're going to be doing on the Nikki Show is making sure that we celebrate everybody. So it's March, we'll celebrate women, but we want to celebrate everybody and remind you that whatever it is that you may be going through, there's still hope and you can move forward. Thank you for joining us.
For me, selling clothes was one of the lowest things anyone that is smart and intelligent could do.
Compared to what everybody else was doing too.
Compared